Wait till you're nice.
Yeah.
I'll just explain that the plastic bottles were bought under COVID-19 conditions, and that's why we've got them. So rather than not use them, we're sharing them with councillors until they're used up.
It's a reminder of where we were. So take it back home and use it as a souvenir for life. You can give it to your grandchildren and say, you know, I was there when this happened. Right, okay. Item number 8.3, proposed changes to the local government funding agency borrowing covenants. We've got Ian Clements and Mark DeHaas.
On the screen.
Oh, he's on the screen. My God, it's going to be a pain in my neck. There you go. Mark.
Well, just through you, Mr. Mayor, we thought we needed to test it out somehow, and elected members weren't willing to stay home at this stage. So.
Mark, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can.
Over to you.
Good morning, good morning, councillors, members of the public, and council officers. I did catch a little bit of what the Chief Executive was saying, but myself and my wingman, Ian Clements, are joining you remotely today just so that you can see this wonderful new technology in play. So on page 98 of the report, we're seeking from you today 3 decisions. I will take the paper as read, but I'll emphasise a couple of key points. So the councils, the officers do recommend that you appoint me as a proxy to make your vote at the special general meeting on the 30th of June. We do recommend that you vote in favour of the proposed changes, which are alternative net debt to total revenue covenants for the next 5 years, dropping down to 280% from 1 July 2025. In our view, this is a very practical and entirely reasonable change, particularly in light of COVID-19. And I would like to emphasise that Standard & Poor's and Fitch Ratings completely endorse these proposed changes by LGFA, and that the risk to or the perception that there are increased risks to councils by lifting the borrowing covenants will be as low as they are today. As the report details, there has never been a council that has defaulted on its loan obligations, and there is a rigorous framework that is in place or will be put into play to minimise risks to all the other shareholder councils. So through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll take the report as read and move to any questions.
Can I start by the question that I want to ask is looking at paragraph 26 and 25 really. We are intending to stick to our green line knitting, but we are saying that shovel-ready projects, if we get them, may change that we need to review our treasury management policy to enable us to increase our debt to total revenue ratio.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's entirely correct. So, come the 30th of June, if the alternate borrowing covenants are indeed passed, the first thing we'll need to do is to update our treasury management policy to reflect those covenants. But at this stage, we will maintain our green line strategy. And as we've said in the past, if we get approvals for some shovel-ready projects and we need to make some deviations to our current financial strategy, we will do that. But we will also be revisiting our financial strategy as we lead up to development of the next long-term plan.
Thank you. Chief Executive.
Sorry, don't want to jump in all over the place. Just want to stress that at the moment, our applications for shovel-ready projects wouldn't require us to take on any more debt, even if they were approved. We've asked for loans or grants so that we don't make our position any worse. But what Mr. De Haast is telling you that clearly as we roll forward, we might need to consider something different, and he's just flagging that possibility.
Martin Holiday, did I see you?
I guess just building on that a little bit as well, Mark, thank you for that. You can perhaps just clarify this, but I see that also as being perhaps a little bit more applicable, the increase in the availability for debt to other councils that are perhaps more heavily invested in assets than we are, who've lost those income streams as well. We aren't in that situation. So, you know, great to know that we've got that leeway, but it's not going to be necessarily as applicable to us as perhaps a lot of other councils. So I'm just thinking that's maybe part of the reasoning for this as well. Would that be a fair comment?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Look, it's certainly a fair comment. The first few paragraphs of the paper reflect what the reality is of COVID-19. So we know across the country, many councils are seeking a lower average rates increase, which means that the starting point is their rates revenue is lower than what it would have been if we didn't have COVID-19. We're also all preparing ourselves for less cash inflows from rates revenue. But at the same time, we're all trying to kickstart our economy. So we've got a very healthy balance sheet, $1.7 billion. But the reality is, we, as you know, we have a community support package. Part of that is that our ratepayers can seek deferral of their rate payments. And of course, that cash will be topped up through borrowing. So our council has a very healthy balance sheet. But across the country, we will see rates revenue is down, and cash that's coming in from rates is likely to be down, and cash that's coming in from fees and charges is likely to be down. And the reality is that'll be topped up through borrowing. So this is in part helping the councils not breach their debt covenants by having to pay for a loaf of bread through borrowings, but also enable them to respond to infrastructure projects that may come their way.
Councillor Coates.
Mr. Mayor, if there's no further questions, I'm happy to move the recommendations. So I'm happy to move recommendation 33, 34, 34.1.2 and 35 on page 98 of the report.
Who pressed my button? The chief executive just pressed my button.
Whenever I can.
James, you want to write the intro?
No, thank you.
Debate? Yeah, I know you seconded it. Any debate on this? No? So, Quinn Compton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say that this is something that I fully support. It was something that Mr. De Haast and I, when we presented to the Select Committee about the legislation to permit the creation of special purpose vehicles, this was having the LGFA increase its covenants was what we put to the Select Committee as the better option, the cheaper option for high growth councils to be able to, you know, provide that finance for infrastructure. So it's really pleasing to see this progressing. I think as the CEO and Mr. De Haast have both noted, that we're looking to stick to our financial strategy, but looking at if we do need to adjust that, we'll be prudent in doing that as well. So I think this is a really sensible move, especially in the interest rate environment that we're in at the moment, and when councils around the country are having to look at how they manage their infrastructure spend to support growth, to support the economy, and actually to catch up with the population growth that's happened over the last 20 years as well. So I think this is a really sensible move by the LGFA, and I'm really proud that our councils are recommending that we support it.
(33, 34, 35) moved by Councillor James Coates, seconded by Deputy Mayor Janet Holbrook. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you very much. To item number 8.4, voting in the Electra Trust election 2020.
My apologies, Mr. Mayor. I omitted to declare an interest in this during declarations of interest in the earlier part of the agenda.
Yep.
I'll be declaring an interest in it, actually withdrawing myself for this paper. Thank you.
Noted. Leanne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to take this report as read and invite any questions through you, Mr. Mayor.
Questions? No questions? Martin Holiday.
Just getting an idea on the process with regards to how we're going to vote.
Can we, do we have an understanding how the process is going to be? Can somebody nominate?
So the recommendation that's been put forward has left, in the traditional style of the Carpenter Coast District Council, blank spaces where there are options for names to be completed. If members debate and decide that there are two obvious candidates that they would like to put forward, we would simply fill the names in on the recommendation and move forward. If, however, debate throws up that councillors actually have a number of candidates that they would like to consider voting for, then we would actually need to move to actually voting in this session for the voting may not be the right word, but agreeing between the councillors which of the two of the four you would like to include in the recommendation, because it can only be two.
Chief Executive.
So just expanding on what Ms. Belcher said, we haven't proposed using a traditional voting system for this, so the normal process around this council table would be someone will open the debate by nominating two names, and in debate you'll either accept those or reject those, in which case you'd go to someone would put forward an alternate name or names.
Would it be useful to...
You could take them one at a time if you wanted to split it up, so you could get one over the line perhaps and then another, or you put them together. We love to do things quite differently.
So the name popping up in somebody's mind, first one?
Sorry, I've got a question. It is about process. Because we have potentially two people we can vote for, can we split the way that vote gets allocated, or?
No, it is a block vote, so it's two names as a block vote.
So we are wanting to tease out the names so that we reduce it. So first of the block, Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
A question, is it?
No, not a question.
So,
it's sheer nomination.
So are there any questions about this?
Well, I just question why we're even voting on it. Last training we didn't.
We had a discussion about this the last council meeting, and the council meeting decision was that we would vote. It was extensive discussion. So that's why we are here where we are. So
I find it... Oh, maybe there's debate. Sorry, carry on.
So, Rob McCann.
Your Worship, are we up to the point where we're putting names?
Yeah, we're going to discuss names.
I would like to recommend that Kevin Burrows and Neil Mackay are the two names that I would like to see on that recommendation. I think councillors have seen both these two gentlemen in our region for some time, and they're good connections within the community, and I would like to recommend that we support those two people.
Right. Anybody else with any other names, or you're settled on that? Jackie Elliott?
I would like to second the nominations made by my colleague here, and also just direct Angela to the minutes that we are approving has got that item in when it was discussed. This item. Thank you.
Okay, so look, we will do. Anybody else with any other names? No, doesn't seem to be. So do you want to move that? Recommendation 20, names.
Do I get an opportunity to make an inspirational speech?
Hold on. Mackay and Burrows. Look, right of intro.
I have been told, councillors, that I must not face the camera. So for those members of the public, and we estimate that there are thousands out there watching at this moment in time.
Well, you can't block me
Okay. Do you know this has been live streamed?
We are very well aware, and we're just working through the complications of not talking at the camera and blocking a councillor in doing so. Councillors, I think we have some very, very good talent and very, very good members of our community in Kevin Burrows and Neil Mackay. They have appeared before this council on many occasions and have a great deal of wisdom and a great deal of connection within their community. And as Gwyn Compton has noted, I'm very good at making speeches for other people. So I hope with that that we will have agreement around this council that that they are really good candidates and they would serve our population well.
Right. Any debate? Angela Boswell and then Gwyn Compton.
I don't disagree that they are fine candidates. I have concerns about our block voting and the sway that will create within those four candidates that are going forth. And I also, and the margins are very slim between who gets in and who doesn't. And also, we haven't had the opportunity through COVID and things to hear the other three candidates speak, which is of concern to me. Yes, there might be people that are better represented that might not be in Kapiti, that we haven't seen in the past. You know, Brendan Duffy is a very fine advocate for both Kapiti and Horowhenua, and I would say that it's a shame that that he to be left out. Likewise with Lindsay Barrell, I think his chap's name is. I don't know anything about him, so you know, I think that we are not informed enough to be able to make a decision. Last triennium we didn't vote on that for those similar grounds. So from that perspective, I'm not going to be supporting it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to be voting in support of this, and in part it was based off that discussion we had last time, because originally I was of the view that we shouldn't jump into this, but of course we got informed in the last meeting that Horowhenua District Council does exercise their right to vote, and so they already influence the end result of votes in that way. So unless we reach some sort of agreement with them that neither council was going to vote, I feel that we're missing out on our opportunity to ensure that we have our voice heard as a major, effectively a shareholder in the Electra Trust via all the ICPs that we have at council. I'd just like to reinforce the points that Rob made around the two candidates that we have. Obviously we had Neil Mackay make the effort this morning to come here and actually speak to us about his candidacy, and I think there's an onus on candidates to communicate and put themselves forward if they're standing for an elected position, and I think you know, Neil's showing that he was willing to go to that length. So any of the four candidates could have emailed any of us over the last few weeks. They could have phoned us, they could have come in via Zoom today, so there's plenty of opportunity for those candidates to lobby for our votes. And obviously Neil chose to do so, and I'm also happy that obviously we've seen enough of Mr Burrows over the years to know that he is a very staunch advocate for Kapiti. He's a very level and sensible minded person, and obviously from the background that was provided in the Electra papers, you can see he's got some relevant experience in this area too, so very happy to support those nominations and us voting for them.
I just really wanted to build on what Gwyn was saying. I support what he's saying 100%. We did discuss this a couple of weeks ago, and we had a good conversation, debate around this, and we've had 2 weeks to research people if we so wished with regards to finding out more about this. It was fantastic to have one candidate come here and take the time out of his day to come and have a conversation with us. Again, as Gwyn's pointed out, the other candidates could have had the opportunity to do the same thing if they elected to. So I'll certainly be supporting this as we move forward.
Anybody else? Oh, you don't want to do it. Recommendation 20, moved by Councillor Rob McCann and seconded by Councillor Jackie Elliott, that the Council vote for Neil Mackay and Kevin Burrows in the Electra Trust 2020 elections. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against? Would you want that recorded? Who says no? Yourself, Bernie Randall, and Bernie Randall said no. Angela, are you abstaining? You got to say whether you're abstaining or you're not voting. You voted. Oh, okay then. Thank you very much. So there's only one abstention. Is that noted? Thank you very much. That's item 8.4 is done. Item 9, confirmation of minutes.